streams later. We will flash the links to the live streams later. Second, please use the chat or Q&A function of Zoom webinar and the comment section of Facebook for your questions and comments. Our team will be compiling your questions so these can be raised to the speakers during the open forum. Lastly, should you wish to receive an e-certificate for participation in this event, please accomplish the evaluation survey at the end of the session. Thank you for joining us via Zoom. The Zoom webinar registration has been arranged by our colleagues at the Chinese University of Hong Kong, and the Zoom controls are currently being manned by the Ateneo Environmental Science Society. If you have friends who wish to join the webinar but could not join us via Zoom, kindly redirect them to our live streaming. We are currently live on Facebook, so head over to facebook.com/AteneoESS. Also, you can catch this webinar on YouTube as we are live on the university's channel. Go to the YouTube channel of the Ateneo de Manila University. We thank the assistance of our colleagues from the Office of the Vice President for Digital Information and Technology Services of the Ateneo for this arrangement. The Incubating Sustainable Solutions webinar will now begin. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Incubating Sustainable Solutions, a webinar on jumpstarting sustainable ideas for university and high school students. Before we proceed any further, I would like to introduce myself. I am Emmanuel Delocado, the Country Manager of Sustainable Development Solutions Network Philippines, or SDSN Philippines. I'm also the Program Manager for Sustainable Development Goals at the Ateneo Institute of Sustainability, or AIS, of the Ateneo de Manila University. In its 10th year, Sustainable Development Solutions Network, or SDSN, supports its member universities, research institutes, and civil society organizations, among others, to play a leading role in sustainable development in the respective countries and regions. For the first time, the SDSN networks of the Philippines, Hong Kong, and Thailand are jointly organizing a webinar intended for the youth or exploring or interested to explore their role in sustainability or the role of sustainability in their respective communities. The Incubating Sustainable Solutions webinar is an avenue for the youth to hear about the innovations and journey of 3 sustainability champions from different countries, providing different perspectives. The youth can expect to hear tips in spotting sustainability ventures in their localities and jumpstarting their ideas, as well as inspiration from their successes and challenges in the journey of the champions. The webinar is a joint offering of 3 networks: SDSN Philippines, SDSN Hong Kong, and SDSN Thailand. As such, allow me to introduce my co-moderators for this afternoon. First, let us welcome Stephen, the Country Manager of SDSN Hong Kong. Stephen is also with the Chinese University of Hong Kong as its Senior Manager for Science Communication. Hi, Stephen. How are you doing?
Hi, man. How are you?
Doing well. Perhaps you can briefly share to our participants, to the audience, how we came about this event.
Yeah, sure. Well, first of all, thank you so much to Emmanuel and Tini, for putting this together. And it is particularly exciting, as in because, well, first of all, we talk about, is there any way that we can collaborate, as in because, well, sometimes when we communicate our ideas to our own country network, but at the same time, we feel that, would that be a bit limiting if we only just talk about our own experience? So I think, it would be very nice to actually know how other people, especially how other country would be doing something similar, but maybe in a slightly different way, because of maybe, say, for example, different culture, different way of doing things. So, I think this is a great opportunity to bring together how the different regions, how do they do things, how do they think about things, and the most in particular, how different circumstances that would lead to possibly a different way of doing sustainable solutions.
Yeah, that's a good point, and that's why exactly we're here, because there are similarities and differences in the journeys of the champions, but ultimately it boils down to the desire to contribute towards sustainability. Would you like to introduce our third co-moderator, Stephen?
Yeah, absolutely. Hi, Nancini. How are you?
Hi, Stephen and Emmanuel, and hello, everyone. Good afternoon from Bangkok. My name is Nantini Malanon. I am SDSN Thailand Network Manager. SDSN Thailand is hosted by the Center for SDG Research and Support at Thammasat University in Bangkok, Thailand. I'm very excited for today's webinar, which is our first collaboration between Thailand, Hong Kong, and Philippines. And I really hope that you will find it inspiring, and I believe that this webinar will be great resource of inspiration and great benefit to everyone.
Yeah, exactly. How do you guys feel about this partnership between our three networks coming to life? Anyone, Stephen or Nantini, how do you feel? Because when did we start planning about this a few months ago, and now it's actually like happening today? How does that make you guys feel?
Well, I mean, it's partly, exciting, but at the same time, it's a bit unrealistic, because, well, it feels like that, oh, we're actually here, partly because we are doing online, right? So it'd be great, if you can actually see each other, but precisely because, well, we're doing it online, right? That's how we can bring so many people together. So I think, it's actually a very good experience, How about you, Nantini? You just had a holiday in Thailand, right? How is it going?
Yeah, we just finished our long holiday, Songkran holiday, which is a huge holidays in Thailand. For our partnership, I think it's very natural because we met through the network, SSN network, and I think we become friends, and we start from bouncing the ideas, and yeah, it turns out to be in reality. So I'm very excited and a little bit frustrated, but I really hope it will be very well today.
Okay, thank you guys. And yeah, actually, if you check the attendees that we have right now, we have well, I guess looking at the names, you have people from of different nationalities, and also um I see here Amira from SDSN Secretariat in KL. Hi, Amira, and also Afik. Hi, Afik. So yeah, for sure, we're all excited to hear about our speakers, to hear our speakers for this afternoon. We're almost there, everyone. However, just allow us to introduce the institutions behind this event, the institutions we are representing, and I would like to begin. Let me begin, of course. We have SDSN Philippines, which is being housed at the Ateneo Institute of Sustainability, or AIS, of the Ateneo de Manila University. By the way, Stephen and Anthony, earlier this month, AIS, our institute, celebrated its 10th year anniversary. So it's a year-long celebration for us, and we have activities lined up year-round, okay, to celebrate this milestone. Stephen, would you like to introduce the organizing institutions from Hong Kong?
Yeah, absolutely. For Hong Kong, SDSN is co-hosted by the Chinese University of Hong Kong and the Jockey Club Charity Trust. So we're here at Chinese University of Hong Kong. We are also housing the Jockey Club Museum of Climate Change, which is specifically we have a title around climate change, particularly to educate or communicate about the message of climate change, the science of climate change, and also the impact of climate change. So, but of course, right, it doesn't just stop at the climate change. So we also talk about how climate change is being interconnected with other issues and how we can address to it. So this is I hope one day if you have a chance to come to Hong Kong, and then you will be able to visit it as well. So how about you, Nantin in Thailand?
Okay, a very brief ICSN Thailand, hosted by the Center for SDG Research and Support, or SDG Move. We are a research center, the latest research center at Thammasat University. and it was established by the cooperation between the Faculty of Economics and the Thailand Research Fund to promote the research around the SDGs or sustainable development issues. And we are working on promoting the SDGs with different sectors in Thailand, including industries, government, academia, or civil society. We provide the training and consultation for those who want to integrate the SDGs into their works. And we also promote the SDG into the education and research as well. And we work with the government and produce the policy research around the SDGs issues and support the knowledge and information for the public as well. Yeah, thank you.
Great to hear about your institutions, Nantini. Yeah. Aside from these institutions that we're part of course, we have our supporting student organizations who are using the skills and technology to make this event a success. So we have our friends from the Ateneo Environmental Science Society, or AESS. They're actually right there behind me. Okay. And we are in the same workspace today. Then we also have the Development Society of the Ateneo, or DevSoc. So DevSoc is facilitating some secretariat work. So you will be, our participants will be receiving their e-certificate from DevSoc. Okay. Well, we have said a lot in the last few minutes, Stephen and Antony. I don't know about you, but I'm excited to begin hearing the talks of our invited speakers, right? Yeah. So I hope you'll allow me. I hope you'll allow me to have the honor of introducing the first speaker for our webinar, who hails from the Philippines. Our first speaker is Ms. Chantel Nicole Nieto, the co-founder and president of Sustainable PH, or Sustainable PH Inc. She's a proud product of our university, the Ateneo de Manila University, where she graduated as a program awardee of Bachelor's in Management of Applied Chemistry in 2017 and obtained her Master's of Science in Sustainability Management from our university in 2019. Aside from her work with Sustainable PH, she is also the co-founder of One Kainta Food and the co-founder and co-host of the TV program Sustaina Rumble. Through the organizations she founded or co-founded, she has provided food, water, disaster relief, and supplementary education to over 700,000 people across 20 cities and 11 hospitals in the Philippines. Get this, Stephen and Antony, for her work over the past 7 years, she has been selected as a Dalai Lama Fellow and One Young World Scholar and was awarded the Princess Diana Award. While she is well decorated for these international awards, of course, her efforts do not go unnoticed locally as well. Quite recently, she was selected as one of the Philippines' 10 outstanding young men and women awardees for humanitarian, civil society, or voluntary leadership for the year 2022. She was also listed as a Forbes 30 under 30 honoree for social impact. And we are honored this afternoon to have our first speaker, Ms. Chantel Nieto. Virtual round of applause. Hi, Chantel. The floor is yours.
Thanks, Sir Emmanuel. Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. Once again, my name is Chantel Nieto, and it's a pleasure to be sharing this virtual space with all of you here today. So I guess I'll get right to it. Later on, I hope we will understand why I chose this particular background to start today's session off with. It's pretty much, I think, geometric shape of sorts, but what we want to emphasize really is the way everything comes together and is pieced together. Everything has its role and its parts. And for me, that's the principle behind building sustainable ventures. So once again, and I think it's we can get on to the next slide. Okay, my name is Sean here to talk about. Yeah, we could move on to the next slide as well. the what, the how, and the what now. So I'll begin this very short session talking about what we do so as to provide us with context behind the work we do and I guess the insights that I've derived from doing it, how we managed to do it, how did we start, how were we able to sustain and grow these enterprises, and then what now? What can we learn from it? How can we, or anyone in the audience, really apply these principles, these tips and tricks to create and grow your own sustainable business or enterprise ventures? So we'll begin with the what. Right, next slide. So currently, as Sir Emmanuel stated, I currently run about 3 NGOs. So the first one is the One Cainta Food Program. So my city is Cainta. It's a semi-peri-urban town based near the borders of Metro Manila. My family and I, we started the One Cainta Food Program because of the pandemic. And we'll give you a step-by-step on the next slide. So when the COVID-19 pandemic hit, we understood that a lot of people would lose their jobs, or at least would be hindered from attending to their jobs and hence obtaining income to fend for their families. We understood that even local governments would find it difficult to really provide for all of their constituents, even in our own city of Cainta. And so we really wanted to see how we could come in and support our communities during the lockdown. So we started very simply. We contacted people within our own network to see who could donate donatable items to our communities. We partnered with the local government in order to leverage on the vehicles and also on the municipal staff on the ground for distributions. If we all remember, during the lockdowns, no one was really allowed to go out of the house. So what we've noticed over those, especially over those first couple of weeks, so many people wanted to help and support, but we were all pretty much physically paralyzed because we couldn't leave our homes. And so we really had to leverage on these partnerships for us to do house-to-house distributions of our donated items. So on the third picture here, that's an example of the way our distributions, or at least our donations, look. We filled up the San Juan Arena because of a partner company. So we continued on pretty much. And over the course of, say, 2020, towards the end of 2020, we went beyond Cainta. And through partner community leaders and partner communities, we were also able to reach other cities such as Caloocan, and really establish our ally leader network. So these are community leaders who would distribute our goods door to door to their neighbors. So it's neighbors helping their neighbors out. So when we identify a particular leader area, they know the people in that area. And so it's really, again, literally neighbors helping neighbors out. And that also allowed us to be so agile and mobile that towards the end of 2020, our distribution capacity reached about 50,000 packs in half a day. Once again, we started in March of 2020. It was a family initiative. Towards the end of 2020, we were able to distribute 50,000 packs in half a day because of these community leaders that organically we got to really coordinate with and grow. Towards 2021, carrying, I guess, my entrepreneurial or business hat, I really wanted to see how we can sustain the food program, understanding that donor fatigue can be and is present all around. And so because of our brevity, because we were able to distribute all these packs really quickly, door to door, I came back to our partners. So at that time, we were engaging with about maybe like 50. We've engaged about 50 organizations. Really told them, why don't we test this one out? Our first main partner was URC. Why don't we get your overstock inventory, your near expiry products, and I assure you, we can redistribute it to the communities. Give it to us 3 days before expiry. I will not sleep over it because I know we could distribute it quickly within a day. And so we did. We would document everything, all of the reports required by the companies we would submit. And up until today, it's 2023, we're still operating, giving about 1,000 people every day with food and other necessities. Right now, as I speak, the truck is on its way to our home, our center, to drop off potency vitamins from one of our main partners, Pascual Lab. So we're still ongoing. And of course, towards 2021 still, and especially last year, 2022, we wanted to see how we can go beyond food. This is going to be in Filipino, but the way I always say it is through providing people with food, we help them get by, makaraos. But we also want to allow people or to support people into rising above their states, into rising above poverty, makaahon. And I believe we do this through education and livelihood. And so we've started affiliate programs. We've partnered with international fellowships, with private schools, and really merged them both to our barangays as well as to our public schools, so we can provide their public school students with supplementary education and our different communities with livelihood and employment options through vocational trainings as well as livelihood roadshows that we conduct every month. So these are the ways by which our One Kainta food program, which is now no longer just about food, these are the ways by which we're able to really sustain our social welfare programs. So that's one aspect of my life. On to the next slide. Of course, I also run Sustainable PH, a non-profit on sustainability. So we focus on raising sustainability leaders. Our, I guess, impetus for really starting is the belief that no one leader, no matter if it's the president or the CEO of the biggest conglomerate in the Philippines, can change the country for the better to the extent by which we need it to be changed. But if we create leaders out of everyone with sustainability and its triple bottom line as a tool and as a framework for development, then we can stand a chance. So that's our focus. We want to create, build, and support these sustainability leaders. And we're not just talking about sustainability officers in corporations or anyone with that title. We're talking about marketing people, accounting people, government officials who are and can be and should be sustainability leaders and advocates in their own respective fields, because that's how we make change happen. And we do that through programs such as Learn to Lead Sustainability. It's a six-week course on sustainability management, where about 30 to 40 people enroll at the time in order to go through that whole program. Later on, I'll show you an example of our curriculum. We have, of course, bespoke training programs hosted by the Society of Sustainability Practitioners, our affiliate organization that houses about 400 member sustainability people from across the board, in order to really co-create with us training programs that enable companies, organizations, and hopefully eventually city governments know how they can make their teams and their organizations sustainable. So we conduct circular economy workshops, decarbonization workshops, I think in the works, fundamentals of sustainability workshops, really for these companies to also grow in their sustainability journeys. And lastly, of course, we host community engagement events still with our affiliate organization, Sustainable PH Youth and the Society of Sustainability Practitioners, so that we can bring the community together, talk about critical issues, engage in public sustainability projects, and overall celebrate each other's works. So in the next slide, I'll show you visuals of what we do in the organization. So here's an example of Learn to Lead. Really, each enrollee would go through all of these. It's a quite proven, actually, methodology, if I might say so myself. A lot of our graduates have advanced in their careers in sustainability, have shifted to sustainability. If they were just beginning to do so, have really grown in their skills and knowledge. In the next slide, then you'll see an example of our Sustainability Unplugged Summit and Leadership Awards, where we really come together as a sector and as a community every year to talk about critical issues in sustainability and also to award trailblazers in the field from education, corporate, foundations, all of these sorts. And of course, lastly, every day we convene and really allow our professionals to grow. And these are through, in the next slide, we'll have it. These are through our associate organizations. Let's go to the next slide, which is SSP and SPY. So SPY is for the youth. And then in the next slide, we'll see SSP, which is for the professionals. So we're a conglomerate pretty much of sustainability organizations and projects. And our goal really is to bring people together for sustainability and to enable them to advance it wherever they are. Lastly, I run Sustain a Rumble also. I'm a part of the group. So in the next slide, you'll see we started as a podcast talking about sustainable development in the Philippines. And then later on, our transitioned into becoming a sort of think tank, advising public organizations on sustainable development. So we've worked with UNDP, we've worked with NEDA, the National Economic Development Authority, advising them on the SDGs as part of their stakeholders chamber. We're working now with Climate Reality for the Department of Energy's Green Energy Option Program, trying to get private companies to switch to renewable energy. So the way I always talk about it is Sustain a Rumble started by providing knowledge through podcasting, and now we're trying to provide answers on how we can actually achieve sustainable development in the country. If you're still keen on knowing, I serve as a consultant as well, talking about climate strategy for private and public organizations. So that's me. And those are my organizations. The next question is, all right, next slide is how. How did this happen? How did these organizations come about? And for me, there are three important components in hindsight. First and foremost, everything started with an evident need. Our food program started because there was a need to provide communities with support, with food, with anything that can help them get by. Sustainable PH, Sustain a Rumble came about because we understood that there was a gap present within the sustainability sector of the Philippines, that a lot of today's sustainability officers were taken from communications, from investor relations, from PR, and asked to wear sustainability hats because of regulations or increasing pressure on the companies. There was a need to fill in that knowledge gap and also bring the community together so we can help each other out and collaborate. In this space, competition isn't necessarily a thing because we only really win or lose together. Of course, the next portion of it is the fact that people, so we started off with the need. Now, how do we sustain it? People. People are the bloodline of any organization. My first social enterprise, BMB, we paused and surrendered leadership over our enterprise. And it was for various reasons, but primarily also because eventually the team was also being cut in half and we couldn't replace the people who left. You win and you lose with people. We can still remain in the former slide. And why is that? Because of three core things that we have to understand as advocates, as founders, as leaders. One is that we do not know everything. We might be the smartest person in the room. I'm never the smartest person in the room, but generally we do not know everything. We cannot do everything, even if we wanted to, and we do not have access to everything. So we need people to come in and really build our visions, build our organizations, and grow it as well over time. So on to the next slide. So if we do not know everything, that's great and that's fine. Because with people, we need to co-create our solutions. This means if we're talking about, say, governance, this means participatory governance. If we're talking about social enterprises, this means creating solutions and businesses or business models with the community not just as beneficiaries that would receive what we want to create, but are actually there as co-founders of what we're trying to build. Because we need to understand really what are their routines. In marketing, we call this your KYCs, your know your customers. We have to nearly step in their shoes and understand how they see things, how they experience things, so that the solutions we create fit their lifestyles, fit their routines, fit their culture, and thus are practical enough to actually be implemented. The solutions that last are not always those that are most innovative and sparkling. They're the ones that fit the bill, that fit the people it tries to serve best. And that those answers, at least the answers we need in order to understand what will fit the bill most, are with the people. So it's important to understand that we may know a lot, but we don't know everything. And solutions organizations are best co-created with people involved. And that involves a lot of active listening, humility, stakeholder engagement, and testing, trying, and pivoting along the way. Second part, we cannot do everything, which is true. And when I was in high school, I was the kindest group mate you can ever have because I would do all of the work and I won't let you do anything, but I'll still give you a star in the peer evaluation. So I'm like the best person to have if you're a freeloader. But later on, you know, as you grow up, you realize you still can't do everything, even if you wanted to. I saw a TikTok, Instagram reel recently that says the hustler must die or must go for the CEO to rise. Meaning, at the end of the day, we might be able to do a lot. And when we're starting out, we wear a lot of different hats because we're the marketing person, we're the accounting person, we're the strategy person. But as we grow these organizations, we have to learn to delegate. We have to learn to identify what our strengths are as persons, as career people, and then what other strengths or talents are needed for the organization to run and who the best people to bring in for that are. And it's our role to bring these people in, to really give them the enabling space to grow in their work and really to get the organization running. So once again, the hustler, the Mr. Do It All must go for the CEO of an organization that has structure, that has scaling ability, that has operational capacity because of the people in it to really rise. And lastly, leverage on partnerships. We don't have access to everything, but other people can have access to the things we don't have access to. So leverage always on partnerships and connections. I promise you, I did an accounting last year of our One Quinta food program, and we've distributed goods amounting to about 75 million pesos. Our operating capital for the entire year, maximum 50,000 pesos. How did we do that? I love free things and all through partnerships. Our partners provide us with what we need. We provide them with benefits back. And because everything is so circular, everything is so synergized through partnerships, we're able to do so much more than we would have if we chose to do things alone. So really leverage on partnerships and connections. And you may never know how infinite the number of possibilities are that can stem from one single connection. So network, leverage on people, and bring them along the way as much as you can. Last point really is on growth. How do we continue growing? So next slide. Let's go to the next slide. The last point really, and these are examples of our people in our One Quinta food program or volunteers, and then for sustainable PH. So last slide. Next slide. Okay, so what now? How do we continue grow? I said that we started with a need. It wasn't because we wanted to build something, build an organization. It was because we saw a problem and we wanted to solve it. And so we built a solution around that problem or for that problem. And of course, as we grow, these problems, these issues that we're trying to solve also change. And so it's our role to adapt to these changes because we only grow if we adapt really and position ourselves and reposition ourselves depending on what's really needed. Next part, once again, leverage on circularity, find the connections. I know we'll go back and find the connections. Once again, like leverage on the partnerships and try to make things as circular as you can. Circular in terms of the materials you use, but also circular in terms of your use and leverage of resources. And lastly, this is very important, establish a structure to attain stability. And this is what we're really trying to do now, especially with Sustainable PH. Really establish that leadership structure, that organizational structure, the paperwork admin is not my best asset. I don't like doing it, but we have to do it because it is what will inform new team members coming in. It is what will provide continuity in the way we do things, and it is the foundation upon which we can grow. If you notice, like I know basketball players like Yao Ming are prone very much to injury because they grew very fast. They grew tall very fast, very quickly. And I understand, I think my father, he's an orthopedic surgeon. So he talks about how sometimes that has negative side effects on your muscles or your tendons and your bones. I'm not exactly sure about the technicalities, but the analogy is you have to have that firm foundation if you want to scale very fast. Because if not, you run too fast, the pieces might get all mixed up. So establish a structure to attain stability. Do the necessary admin work, do the necessary, building work that needs to be done for your organization. Lastly, be visible. tell your story. So next slide. I've faced a lot of rejections in my life. I think one of the very first times I approached someone I did not already personally know to ask for help. This was for a very first social enterprise. I was told he doesn't have time for do-it-yourself projects for little some school of management people. That's fine. People will say no. But what I've learned over the past 7 years I've been doing this is that with every no you receive is a more important yes, so long as you keep knocking on doors. So be visible and tell your story. If anyone visits my social media pages, some people, my friends would joke around and tell me, you post everything. You don't need to post like all of these donations, all of that sort. But actually, it's not to brag. It's not to put the spotlight on me. It's to put spotlight on what we're doing on the cause. So that one, people will see, oh, there's something happening that's like that. Maybe I can come in and support. And people do support. I posted about clothes donations the other day. Now I had people message me wanting to also donate clothes. It's about that multiplier effect. Another thing is you post so that people can see what's possible. You want people to look at you and not think that you're great, but think that if she can do it, I can do it too. So that's the point. But the point I'm trying to make is be visible and tell your story. You never know the opportunities that can come about just because you are visible. But don't be afraid of being rejected for it, because the right people, the right opportunities that's needed for your work will accept you. It's just a matter of putting yourself out there to receive and to really attract that. So lastly, key takeaways before I end my session, last slide. Once again, start with the need. Invest in yourself and in your team in order to grow your organization or your advocacy, and really innovate through adapting to changing needs, circularity, and being very optimal with the way you do things, and establishing the structure needed to facilitate your growth and scale as you go along. So that ends my short presentation. Once again, my name is Chantel Nieto. You can add me on Instagram or LinkedIn or whatever. It's at Chantel Nieto. And I look forward to hearing your questions after the two other speakers have gone before me. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ms. Chantel, for your sharing. I'm sure that our younger audience members learned a lot from your inspiring advocacy and journey. Now, to our audience, we invite you to type in your questions on the Zoom chat or Facebook comments, and we will attend to these later on in the open forum. Moving on, Stephen, would you like to do the honors of introducing our second speaker for this afternoon?
Absolutely. Wow. Thank you so much, Chantal. That is a very inspiring story, and absolutely a lot of experience and sharing, and that is definitely very thought-provoking. So now let's move on to the second speaker. Our second speaker is Mr. Terry Leung. He's the program manager for Carbon Care InnoLab. He studied Bachelor of Social Science, Social Work at Hong Kong Shiyan University, and he is a registered social worker in Hong Kong. He has more than 10 years of working experience in non-profit organizations, mostly focusing on children and youth and mental health. Currently, he is with Carbon Care InnoLab, empowering local young people to speak for particularly climate change. He is in charge of CCIL's climate advocacy training for youth program, in short, CATI. As well, he took to the UN climate change conference field trips, previously to COP26 and 27, and hopefully, COP28 as well, coming up, and local conference of Youth Hong Kong, LCOI, and previously in 2021 and 2022. Additionally, he joined COP27 as an official UNFCCC youth delegate. So without much further ado, we present our second speaker, Mr. Terry Leung. Terry, please.
Hello everyone. Nice to meet you here. Just checking if you guys can hear me clearly, my voice. Is that good? Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you so much. And thank you for Stephen's detailed introductions, and also Chantal Netu, your sharing, which is very inspiring. And yeah, so I'm going to share my screen and grab my 15 minutes today to share with you guys my experience. So, okay. Yeah, so I hope the share screen works. And today I'm going to share my experience on incubating sustainable solutions. And once again, thank you for invite me, and also represent my organization Carbon Cano Lab Hong Kong to share my experience to the young people here. And I'm very happy and grateful to be here because, as Stephen shared, basically my passion is work with children and youth, especially youths. So I'm happy to see many young people here from Hong Kong and from across Southeast Asia, or even all part of Asia. So brief introduction about my background. I'm a social worker, mainly working for youths and mental health issues as well. And on the other hand, I work for the empowerment, which include the youth empowerment. Even sometimes we talk about the community empowerment, like some vulnerable groups in the community. Sometimes we are not only to help them, but we are going to empower them as well to do something for themselves or for the whole community as well. And then in recent years, I'm into the environmental jobs. So that's the reason why I work for Carbon Cano Lab right now. The main issue I work right now is the climate change, which is, I think, can be part of the definition or include parts of the sustainable solutions as well. Because when we talk about sustainable solution, it's a very broad issue, and one of the things is climate change and other broad issues as well. And so I hope today's sharing can inspire some of you to try to know more about, or try to understand, or do some actions about climate change. And then the last thing I have been inspired recently as well is the climate justice. Maybe some of you guys heard about these terms as well. If you didn't, you can Google climate justice, and then you can you will see many people, scholars, researchers, or many people overseas talk about this. And less people talk about this in Asia area, I believe. And yeah, but I'd like to bring in this term today for you to explore more. So today's sharing, I'm going to split into two parts. The first part is what am I doing on sustainability? And the second part is the key elements to kickstart your actions. Yeah, so the first part, the project I work for right now is called Climate Efficacy Training for Youth. So basically the project name mentioned exactly what kind of things I'm doing. We talk about climate change and what kind of efficacy we can do to speed up or to advocate the climate actions from the government or from the corporates, from NGOs, even from the public in Hong Kong. We advocate any one of them to do some more actions to mitigate about the climate crisis, which is aroused by the climate change. And so in the program, we divide into different parts, but the main aims of the program is to empowering local youth to be the climate policy actors, by encourage them or educate them to participate in both local and international climate-related forums or seminars, webinars, or even some the big, like for example, the biggest events of climate change every year hosted by United Nations, which is called Conference of the Parties. Yeah, so which is the main aim. I can conclude right here, one of the main aim of the program is to empower the youth to do something in local, and then to bring your local issues, your local concerns to the international level, and then kind of you share what happens in your local area internationally, and then you bring something back from the international forum, like some solutions or ideas or network back to your local countries. So that's the ideas. We like to connect them locally to international and then back to their places. So you can see many photos. Like I can conclude all of the works in this project we're doing, but actually we can see we host something like you can see this one, like some group projects. They are doing some group discussions. One of the main part of the project is they're going to do their own community advocacy projects to advocate the issues they care about in the local communities. And then what we did is we equipped them with like the sense of advocacies, the skills and tools, like how do they speak, like these photos. You can see a photo. They hold a meeting with the district council, holding some boards with some words. So we equip them with some skills like public speaking, like the persuasive speech, how to persuade district councillor or even a government official to listen to the advocates. And then you can see we hold some training section. The previous parts I mentioned, maybe it's like a local level, like we encourage them to engage to the local NGOs or government officials to do some advocacy. And we also did some workshops to prepare them to attend some climate meetings, which require them to speak or listen English. And for example, you can see some photos. Like we have one which have the United Nations flag on the table, which is called COP simulation, for them to simulate like they are from different countries to countries, and then they play like they are acting like the government officials from different countries, and then they try to negotiate the some kind of financial or climate deals on the table. So that kind of negotiation is equip them to join some international level meetings. And then there are another highlights I want to share from the program. And also there is something that I encourage the youths here. You can, if you have some kind of actions or something you want to advocate for, I encourage you guys to try to start your own campaign. Like you can open an IG account, or you can register for local group to start from very little, very small, but you can set up your own organization or social media page to start a campaign. In our program, which is one part, we feel proud of our program is we have more and more local young people in Hong Kong. They try to maybe 4 or 5 of them connect together, and then they try to kickstart a group to advocate for what they want. Like some of them are talking about the shared renewable energy facilities in the community. Like some of them ask for less plastic packaging in the local supermarkets. Like some of them set up a community climate resilience center, and then yes, something like this. So this is the thing we want you guys to kickstart. And as an NGO like Carbon Cano Lab, we provide some backup support for them, like some advice, suggestions, or how do they register as an NGO, how do they do things not to violate the law, something like this. So yeah. And then apart from the local level, like I mentioned before, we connect them to the international level. So I hope there are some NGOs is doing something like to empower the local young people in your countries, and then try to bring the young people with their ideas of advocacy, and then try to meet the government officials like this one. We bring them to the Secretary of Environment, and then speak directly to him, and then also to tell him, oh, we are going to COP. We are going to the climate conference hosted by United Nations, and then we are demanding the Hong Kong government to do something like this. And then I believe this should be a chance, like most of the youth is looking for, because they can have the chance to speak directly to the people with power. So here are some of the experience of the corps. I don't mention too much here, but I mean, is the experience we really want to bring to the youths, because I'm not sure about the chance of the young people of your countries to participate in the worldwide meeting. But for Hong Kong people, Hong Kong young people, even for the government government officials, okay, I think not many people from Hong Kong it's that much concerning or have that much passion in climate change, and basically we don't have many people to attend this kind of meeting. So that's we want the young people to see more, to listen more, to make more network, and then to bring back to Hong Kong to start something. And then here are some sharing from the youths participants. Like I think it's really important. One thing is there is a platform for them to like meet maybe 4, 8, 10 or even more similar minds young people, so that they feel empowered. One thing they always share is that basically many individuals, they have interest in the sustainable issue, and they want to do something, but they feel alone. So I think a platform which is able to gather a group of young people, so basically they will automatically make network, and then something will happen. So this is the main structure of the program. And then I think the most important quote I want to emphasize once again here, it's we believe the concept of from local to global and back to local should be one of the effective learning model for youths to explore your sustainable journey in every country. I mean, yeah. And then when the program ends, basically the action continues. So it is another thing I think is very important for all of you to remember, is sustainable. I mean, sustainable, there is a meaning of like sustainable solution, like something environmental or environmental friendly, but another meaning is your action have to be sustained. So you have to keep doing what you believe, keep doing your actions. So those students like continue or initiate their own climate projects after the program, like they will form their own NGOs. Which one? This is about the Green Jobs Forum, and then some of them like form which is network of environmental student societies. Some of them form a bigger platform. This one is for all of the university students in Hong Kong. They can join this network, and then they will hold a climate week every year in Hong Kong. Yeah, and also some of them do doing some podcasts, and yeah, you guys can start doing what you like to start. And then going to the second part, I have a few minutes left, and I have like 6 key elements for you guys to kickstart your sustainable ideas. So the first one, I believe, which is very important, is find your passion. Yeah, because for me as well, when I was a social worker, basically, I'm quite sure now I have passion in youth work and mental health work as well, and then climate change. But to be honest, I spend some time to find my passion. Yeah. So for every one of you, I think the first thing is very normal for you to feel you don't know what you want to do right now, because I think everyone experience this stage as well. And so don't be afraid to spend some time to find what you like, what you love, and find your passion. So basically, if you find something, in my experience, if you find something, maybe the first time you can think to do, but you didn't do any action, and then sometimes pass, and then you may sometimes think again, oh, I want to do it again, but you still did not take any action. But if it happens 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, and I believe that thing maybe is your passion, so it works for you to start doing something which is you repeatedly think about. And then the second one is think about what makes your uniqueness. I think it's very important because many young people nowadays, they want to start something, but they worries about, oh, there is already thousands of people is doing this, so there is no point for me to start the same project. Sometimes right, but sometimes wrong. There is something we want more and more people take action together. So we don't mind there is more and more people do it, because we actually, for the sustainable things, we need more people to do it as well. But sometimes if you want to start your own projects or your own company, and you want to make the voice, you want to make your project stand out, then you have to think about what's the uniqueness. If I take my project as an example, I think the terms you guys remember I mentioned about climate justice. So it's one of the example of my organization, because we believe in Hong Kong there is no environmental NGO they talk about climate justice. And the meaning of climate justice is we try to relate the climate change, the global warming issues to the human lives. So if you make some points which is correct, which is right, and no people talking about this before, then you can make your uniqueness. And the third one is the future belongs to children and youths. And this one basically is for me to empower you, and also for you to empower and others children and youth as well, because it's always right when you talk about the futures belongs to you guys. Like maybe like if you are 15 or 20 years old right now, so basically you are the owners. I mean, you are the people who in charge of the world, like maybe 10, 15 years or 20 years later. So that's the world. You guys in charge, and then you have to say, you have the right to decide what is the future likes. And the fourth one is to care who has been neglected. I mean, we should care about everyone, okay? But I mean, we can think carefully is that if how to say, I mean, if you can identify someone which is suffered from the environmental problems, you try to dig out the problems and the solution. I mean, everyone can see it, and then you can see the meaning of what you advocate. Because when we talk about sustainable solutions, we may talk about global warming, climate change, and other environmental problems. For example, like the extreme hot weather, like the flooding in your countries. So I mean, if you can, like the previous points, if you can relay the problems to human, I mean, human is really important factors, because if you don't relay the problems to human, basically you are only talking about the scientific things, and then your friends or public basically won't listen to you, because they have listened a lot from the scientists already. So the best thing you have to do and you have to explore is to explore the sustainable solutions. What's the relationship with humans and the people around you? And the fifth point is to empower who has been disempowered. I think it's the similar concept to think about the people has been neglected and disempowered in the society. And then this one, there's an extra meaning, is that if you have some ideas and you want to kickstart, not alone, but with like a group of people, I think you will face tasks is that how do you motivate and empower your friends and teammates or your classmates to start some action with you. So basically you have to learn how to empower the people around you to do something with you. So the final one is to take action. This one is very simple. I mean, don't think too much. If you think it's the right time to take action, then it's the time for you to do something. Yeah, just do it. I mean, just kickstart. Yeah, so I believe it's the last page of my sharing, and thank you so much.
Well, thank you, Terry. That's a very I enjoy what you mentioned about it in the last, right? You know, there are 6 qualities that we have to really think about, you know, particularly when we talk about doing any, not just about sustainable solutions, but any kind of work that we're trying to do. And particularly, well, we need to have the passion, and we have to think about other people, you know, because fundamentally, you know, when we talk about sustainable development or sustainable solutions, we are not just talking about the environment, but we're talking about the people themselves. So thank you. Right, so can we move on to the third speaker? Nantini, can you introduce the third speaker from Thailand, please?
Yeah, thank you, Stephen, and thank you, Terry, for your meaningful presentation. Absolutely agree with the 6 steps of a kickstart, especially start with the finding your passion. Next, I would like to introduce our speaker from Thailand, Jerry, Mr. Jirapat Hosang Chai. Jerry is the Thailand Program Manager for New Energy Nexus, and he leads Thailand Accelerator Program and supports clean energy entrepreneurs from idea to growth stage. Prior joining New Energy Nexus, Jerry had been working in corporate innovation and corporate venture capital, helping leading industries engage with startups and innovations. I'm over to you, Jerry.
Hi. Well, thank you so much, Kun Natini, for the kind introduction. And yeah, really great to meet you all today. And yeah, I really like the fact that like we got to get the chance to like each shares our experiences. I think I heard a lot about like Chantel and Thierry, and I like agree with most of the comments as well. I think it's a really good comment to get started as young entrepreneurs. So just to share a bit of myself, hope everyone can see the screen here. Yeah, just a second. Oops. Yeah. So yeah, I'm now representing New Energy Nexus, which is a global NGO that operates globally from the US, but we have offices throughout the world, and we try to create more entrepreneurs and creating more entrepreneurship, especially useful one. Yeah, as Kun Natini mentioned, I think my background is a bit different, I would say. I probably am like the least knowledgeable in this kind of like seminars, as I recently joined into the field, but I'm really passionate about the subjects, and I think I could bring my expertise here to help out, inspire you guys as well. I think what my regarding my background, so I came from a research background. I graduated from like a political science kind of like degrees, but I also decided to study like liberal arts kind of degree, like philosophy, economics, politics. But later on in my master, I study AR and VR technology. So my kind of like mixed, and now I'm working in the area of like energy tech, climate tech, as well as Web3 as well. So my background is a bit what I think I could gather and learn as a key learning for you guys from my background is that pivoting is good. Pivoting is possible. It doesn't matter what you graduated from, what degree you have. What matters is what you love to do, what you like, what's your passion, as well as how you leverage all those strengths and the differences that you make or your uniqueness, basically. So yeah, just an overview. Basically, I started off as a research-driven person. But what I realized that research is research. Doing policy research for like green energy, green bonds is good. But if I don't have the background as to what really going on in the real world, in not just the world of policy making, but the world of like different stakeholders that are making policy for, how do they think, what is their like motivation, what drives them, or what would be the effect of the policy I'm making for them, then I wouldn't be able to grasp like the full picture. That's why I started off my career switch from the research background into more of like the private sector, and now I'm back again as an NGO. So I started off yeah, as a researcher, then more as like a management trainee, and then to the startup and then VC world, as well as now as the program manager for Nexus. So essentially, as I already briefed about, so Nexus is like we are a global NGO of that support local entrepreneurship and especially startups. So we position ourselves more as like a network of fund accelerators, as well as like incubators. So we supported 400 startups so far from ideation stage to growth stage throughout the whole throughout the whole 5 continents that we are in. So whether it's the US, whether it's Africa, whether it's Asia, and our mission though is that we want to turn 100% of energy, like fossil fuel energy, into renewables, 100% in the shortest time. And we believe that to do that, we need to support entrepreneurship and startups, because the more that they scale, the more that they grow, the more that the energy transition happens at a faster rate. So in the way that we operate in different countries is we run accelerator programs or incubation programs or even university boot camps in the countries that we are in. So we each have different programs and we support each other depending on each of the countries' need. So I won't go into like any specific programs, but I would say that each of the countries have specific needs. For example, in Singapore, there's a lot of like startups, there's also a lot of entrepreneurship. So we then had kind of like a lot of funding to do seed funding for the startups so that they can grow. Whereas in Thailand, there aren't a lot of like, there may be a lot of entrepreneurship, but there's limited funding, and the type of the startup is different. Then we need to do a more tailored program for incubations, perhaps, or for pipeline development, perhaps with the corporates. Yeah. So before I move on into my later topics about what sustainability is and how did I get into the field and what we really do, I want you guys to play a mini game. So if you have your phone here, please feel free to scan the QR code. And yeah, I only ask one question. So what does sustainability means to you? Let's see what the answers come to. Okay, just to make sure that everyone got the QR code, I'm going to leave here for like 10 seconds. Yeah. Yeah, whether it means you starting your own like recycling business, whether it's about like fighting climate change, or what does it really mean to you before we move on. Yeah. Okay, just a sec. Okay, I think I got 8 answers. Okay, let's see what it is. They are 10 answers now. That's good. Okay, 11 answers. Okay, so someone says environmentally friendly. Okay. Yeah, that's right. The next one says intergeneration. Oh, that's quite an interesting word. Long-term use of resource. Live with less. Oh, really like that actually. Very minimalist. Oh, there's a word minimalist as well. Circular economy, green campus, something useful or resourceful for the earth, for the future generation. Means preserving resource. Okay, so all these trends come in, right? The word reserving resource, use less, minimalist, development, environmentally friendly, right? Okay, so what does all these really means, right? If you look at it from like the UN point of view, sustainability takes, well, it means meeting our own need without compromising the ability for like the future generation to meet their needs, right? When you say the word needs, it can be categorized into three things, whether it's the environment, the economy, the society. This is based on the framework that, okay, whatever we do, we are like growth driven, we have certain needs, we need food, we need shelter, we need all those stuff. So all those stuff has to be balanced out for our generations. And this is in a capitalistic world, this is driven by our needs, our basic needs, as well as the customer behaviors, right? So as for Nexus, we really want to like help out in the world with making sure that all these needs are met, whether it's the need for affordable clean energy, whether it's decent work or economic growth, whether it's industrial innovations or sustainable cities, as well as climate actions. So how do we do that, and why is this an important thing, and why you should be interested? So I mean, I believe that you already knows about the climate agreement, where it's Paris Agreement. These are all good news. We really want to limit the temperature to around 2.5 degrees, and the clean energy sector is already booming. Well, we are now entering an era where all the solar energy is booming. Fossil fuel is going down. Fossil fuel consumption is going down, as well as EV, the transitioning of like cars are all turning electrics. Not to mention other movements throughout the world that really want to empower the use of renewable energy. So all this is not, wouldn't be possible if the consumer or if the people doesn't change, right, their needs. So this means that there's a huge movement where people change their needs towards like solar, wind, renewable, or even EVs. All these are great trends and something that you should also be starting your own, whether it's business or an NGO that want to capitalize on this trend or want to like encourage more people to enter the space, because not only there are like more use of like greener energy and also the transition, but also there are more investment in the area. People want to invest more. They want to like build more green stuff. They want to use more green alternative as well. And yes, you can see there has been like an increasing need as well as an increasing investment that would only double and triple in the next coming years, even 5x at least, that need to increase to meet our climate goals. So we really need more entrepreneurship. There's more funding there, but what is probably missing is more and more youth or more entrepreneurs entering into the space. So how do we help them though? So this come into the questions, and here in Thailand we try to incubate all these solar companies, whether small one or larger ones, into entering the market. We run training program. We focus on like what policy they need, what innovation they need, as well as marketing or financial needs to run their own solar business. We also equip them with like digital tools as well as like practical experience, going deep into the local community to really understand the people's needs, and as well as like understanding the partners. I think Chantel mentioned that you can't do everything yourself. So it's also really good to find partners, meaningful partners who are on the same mission as you, and go down deep into what the local people really want. What they need is one thing, what they want is another thing. So what they need might be a good like electricity running. They could use like fossil fuels, but then we need to make sure that that solar or greener alternative also they're able to access all these kind of things as well at an affordable price. So that is all that I want to say in regards to like helping entrepreneurship and local guys for Nexus. But on a bigger scale of things, right? So on a bigger scale of things, we also do other incubation program from seed stage, making sure that the teams that have the startup idea but don't have the prototype yet get to meet the right partners and have the right idea and framework to scale. Once they have the prototype, then we connect them with like local and international partners so that they are able to launch the prototype and test it out with like the right technology, with the right customers. Afterward, once they already tested those prototypes, it's now turned to an what we call like a tested product ready to be commercialized. We connect them afterwards with whether it's the corporates, whether it's NGO research institute, and once they scale enough, they need funding to scale. So we also connect them to international funds or local funds, and we keep everyone in the loop for the community to really help and grow. So this, when we talk about climate tech, right, it's not only about energy, but it can be like agri-tech, it can be sustainability, recycling. As mentioned earlier, sustainability is a very broad concept. Whether you help the environment, you help the economy, or you help like the social movement, social mobility within inside like the whole communities, all has to be in line. So anything that you do can also be with climate tech related, whether it's fintech, mobility, access to energy, energy efficiency, IoT, etc. So all those areas are things that are applicable to everyone. And now I think we all live in an era where in the previous generation we might not have a lot of like climate tech related or sustainable companies to be an idol for you to have like a as like a learning experience. So now we have more role models. We know what works and what doesn't, and we can learn from the mistakes of the startups that we help and supported so far. But not only from the side of Nexus, but also from the youth as well. You now have an idol as to who you can look up to and learn from their experiences. So in the startup world, you might recognize some of like the names, right? So like Tesla is quite huge as well. We might know like Instagram, Facebook on like the network effect, but now startups that are into sustainability that are started by very young and ambitious entrepreneurs are starting to kick off, whether it's like WeBike from Vietnam or Climework, which kind of like capture the air and make it into a carbon capture and put it into inside a rock, solidify rocks, so that it doesn't pollute the earth. Or Tesla that's built on like solar rooftop or batteries, or Asura, which is like a building on like EVs material and technologies. So I think I'm using a lot of time, but just to give you some of like the example of the startup that we supported, as well as some of like the way that they think you could replicate or work or analyze on the way that the startup thinks into your enterprise. So all startups start with a problem. So this one really dig deep that the problem of fishermen going out using diesel engine throughout the day, they have to spend around 2.4 million rupiah, Indonesian rupiah. So the daily need are like over 51% has been like fuel costs, and this is already like quite a lot for fishermen. So how do they fix it? Not only that they generate a lot of like they generate a lot of costs, of course, expenses for the fishermen, but also generate a lot of CO2. So how do we fix both problems with at the same time? So they dig deep into the cost of the a round trip of a coastal boat go out and fishing, and compare this cost to a conventional engine versus using an EV engine that they developed. So you can see that not only is more cost efficient, but also the carbon dioxide reduction is also huge. Is reduced by like 60 to 70%. So these are kind of like the solutions of the startups, climate tech startup that could start it, getting started, and could make an impact to the wider world. Another one that I would like to show is just that you see this amazing solar panel, really large, but it's all covered with dust, right? So normally people have to go there and like clean it up manually, and that's cost a lot of like the cost and labor and for a cost of the strains. So one of the Thai startup here created a nano coating that makes the dust doesn't stick to the solar panels, making sure that the efficiency is increased, as well as there's a lot less cleaning. So even this like small things that you can do to make like something more efficient, as well as like more cost effective. So when we talk about this, what I would like to say as a key takeaway is that right now we have a lot of startups as your role model. If you want to start, you can study one and start with a problem that you really want to fix to help the world. Do not fear to make mistakes, because mistakes or failure build success. It's the foundation of success, because you get learning and not to repeat it again. So it's okay to fail, because all startups failed and we failed miserably 1,000 times, but it's okay to get going and keep moving and pivoting to make sure at the end of the day you got what's right. Well, why start now though, and what are the challenges for you guys? As a person who also like entered the field, this field, I see that there's a lot of like enough role models. So those are like one of the is kind of like a double-edged sword in a way, because you might be competing with them, but they also act as your role models. My advice is that look at them as a partners. See if we can work with them. See if they can teach you something, as well as see if they can help you grow. So that's one of the easiest stepping stone first to work towards your own dream. The next one is that the more opportunity you gain, the more failure you gain. start when you are young, because when you fail as you are young, you have the energy to go back up, as well as other people would also are more willing to lend a hand to the younger generation, because we want you guys to succeed. We also want everyone who are younger to be better than ourselves and to succeed more than we do as well. There's also a lot of like challenges regarding the funding as a startups, but there are more, as mentioned, there are more funding available nowadays. The risk of a startup versus going for like a corporate career or going for like a normal career. Yes, this is definitely a risk that someone has to wait and has to overcome, definitely. So my advice would be that if you are still initially like starting out, it's okay as well to maybe start out as a corporate job 2 to 3 years and then switch back and work on your passions as well, or do early like work and then work on your project. That is also possible as well. And that my last advice is that the consumer trend is now shifting. If you are the person that have the time since you are young, you have the right mindset of not giving up, you have the grit to do it, you have a no rules rule where you try something out, you get back up again, you go deep dive into what the customer really want and what the people really want, and then go back and make it happen. So I think all the reasons here are quite advantageous for people who are young and who are in your generations. So to summarize everything that I would like to say is that first, I want to inspire you guys that it's okay to fail and it's okay to start now as a useful person, because you have the energy. Start with a problem, pitch your problem, make yourself out there, pitch it to 5 people or 10 people who are in your network, and see if your solution to this problem makes sense, or if it doesn't make sense, get the feedback and get moving. Keep changing it until you got it right. So that would be the end of my presentation, I believe. And I hope that you would like to begin this journey, and I hope that my advice or my experience help you guys in any way. So yeah, looking forward to the Q&A sessions, and yeah, hope to see you guys soon. Thanks.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Jerry, for your talk. It was very insightful, and I think I and the rest of the audience can heard from all the speakers that most of the solutions that you are formulating, most of the activities you're engaging yourself in, start with a problem, like your identified problem in your community. Okay. To continue the conversation, we will now be moving on to our question and answer open forum, wherein members of our audience may pose questions to our speakers. At this point, Stephen and Nantini will help me facilitate the open forum, the question and answer. For those of you in the Zoom room, you may drop your questions down below in the Zoom chat. Or for those on Facebook, you may type them on the comment section. Okay. Perhaps just to get things started, I'll start. A question for Ms. Chantel. Which sustainability venture that you started was the most challenging for you? Perhaps given the context you had to work on for that venture. Okay. I think Ms. Chantel stepped out of the call for a while. Okay. Perhaps Stephen, we can proceed with your question.
Yeah, sure. Well, I think we can maybe Chantel is away for a while, so we'll wait for her to come back, to get back to the question. But maybe we have actually one question from the attendees for Terry. So there's a participant called Julie. He or she asks, how do you get youth to stay connected and accountable to complete each project? Do you offer some gifts or only certificates upon completion? Well, they have some issue with poor local kids who have a lot of family issues and couldn't always show up to complete project. I mean, do you have any something similar experience that you can share with Julie, Terry?
Thank you, Stephen, and thank you, Julie. And I'm thinking the poor kids, poor local kids you're talking about. Are they the students of your project? Or yeah, I think yes. For our program, basically we offer certificates for them upon completion, but we don't have some gifts for them. In my experience, I think we try to, I mean, fire up their passion, and then one or two tricky points we found out is that the first one is we always like I said, we always empower them, but not sending the message to help them. I think it works because we always let them know that that's basically we recruit you. It's not for you to learn things. We want you to do something for your community and the future of the city. So I mean, I'm not sure is it work for everyone or every place, but in my opinions, because of my project right now is the 4th cohort already. So basically from the experience from the past 3 cohorts, they I mean the young people do enjoy the feeling that, oh, you are not recruit me to learn things, because I think the young people always being disempowered is that they think the society always require them to learn more and learn more. It sounds like they are not capable or they are not smart enough to start doing things. So our message is, oh, I think you are smart enough. You just need some more skills and concept equipped, and then you can start doing things for your community. So yeah, that's one thing. And I want to share one more is that because our program is stuck with the definition of youth under the United Nations framework, which is 18 to 35 years old. And I believe most of the countries, I mean, accept this definition from UN. And then we found that when we try to recruit some young people, which is they start their full-time job in a society, basically we found that most of them, when they start working, then they feel tired, they don't have time, they still have a kind of passion, but they don't have the time to and the platform to do something with passion. So my experience is basically we've found that there is a group of working young people. If we try to encourage them to do something for the community, and also some kind of message like, please grab your time to finish your dream. I mean, because people always have dream, I want to do this. And then the young people just start working, they may still have the dream. So we fire up their dream and then provide some supports because they have the skills, because they are more mature than generally more mature than the young people still studying. So basically we encourage them a bit, and then they feel really empowered, and then they have the skills and the mature to do things they want. Yeah.
Yeah, totally agree. I think, there's a lot to do with what one thinks, or the way how one thinks, so it's more about how what's in the mind instead of what one is capable of doing, because, well, in the end of the world, right, in the end of the day, you still can do it, as long as you're willing to learn and you're still willing to try. Right. So is there another questions from for Nantini, right?
Yeah, we have a question specifically for Jerry from the students. Jerry, as a students, how can we network with others to help us in regards to startups, especially if it would be hard to get capital to implement or actualize our concept?
That's a great question indeed. I think as a student, you have a lot of like the benefits in a way. People tend to be very open towards students, whether it's people who are like, imagine that you are going to work who are like the CEOs or the founder of the startups or the venture capital. They're really open to be a mentors for the students because they really want you guys to succeed, like really. So I mean, my advice would be that if you are an aspiring student wanting to start your own company or find funding, get yourself out there, go to events where these people are, talk to them about your interests, your passion, reach out to them via LinkedIn, or even go out to your like networks that might know these people as well. And I think they are really happy to receive you guys because I mean you are like the future generations, and we all want to support you. I think that would be my advice. Yeah.
Thank you, Jerry. Do we have another question, Eman?
Yes, so we have another question, and probably this would be the last question. And I think this goes for both Terry and Terry. The question is, as students, how can we deepen our advocacy or reignite them in making sustainable ideas with respect to the COVID-19 pandemic? So I guess the concern is most of the classes have become online. They feel that they have restricted experiences. So like how, I guess, can they make up for such lost experiences and get themselves out there to sustainable advocacy? Anyone who'd like to begin?
Thank you for the questions, and I may share a bit. Like our programs face the same. I mean, every program on the world face the same difficulties in the last few years. And then we were the same, that we are forced to organize 2 cohorts online, I think. And what we try to do is we start to quite emphasize the role of like the social media, like the things, the advocacy things they can do online. I mean, it's really a trend for. I mean, it's the same case right now. We don't have COVID right now, but basically many things happen hybrid as well. So I think we offer them, we try to organize online meeting for them with the district council and also the government officials as well. And then I think in the future societies, we must provide them with more and more training of how to use the how to create more attractive creative online materials to spread the message online. And then one thing we tried as well, because we our projects require them to do a press conference to launch their efficacy. And then what we tried before is to do the press conference online, and then we will have to invite the press to attend the conference online. And then right now the press, they will I know they will attend different kinds of webinar press conference online, and then basically some of them, they won't attend the physical events, and then they will just write the articles published online as well. So I think maybe it's a hybrid mode. Yeah.
Great. Thanks for sharing. Jerry? your
Yeah,
thoughts?
thank you so much for the question. So just to make sure that I clarify and I get it right. So it means that like you are a university student, you would like to reach out, and yeah, during COVID there was a lot of like, you know, there was a lot of like limited space, you know, for people to interact, right? So the question is, how do you get that exposure and get yourself out there when all this is going on and you have limited experience because of COVID as well. Is that
Yes.
right? Yeah. So I mean, in my case, we as Dexas, right, we also have experienced that as well, as Cherry said. I think a lot of our program has to be done online, and what we learned is that online is good for a very short kind of like interactions or repetitive interaction on a very short basis, like 1 hours or 1.5 hours, let's say. And that is good for getting yourself out there, attending international events online, attending local events online. There are advantages of this where even if you don't have experience, you are able to attend more prestigious or more exclusive workshop from abroad, let's say, or reaching out to international people who you want to reach out to. So that's one of the benefits I would recommend. Some of the downside, of course, there are that your closeness to this person might not be like really close, right? So we also learned that with running our own workshop for Nexus. So we also try to do hybrid, where we plan short instances for people to work together online when they already have some physical presence initially. So at least they already met. Initially, they formed the bonding. Then afterward, we switch that to online on a shorter notice where they work together. And so I think this could be something that could work for program design. But for you, maybe as an individual, to get yourself out there, I would recommend like other social media as well, whether it's like LinkedIn, getting to know people, attending events. So a combination of both online and offline. Yeah.
Great to hear. Yes, I mean, with the world reopening, I think it really presents a lot of opportunities for the students to get engaged. And also, there are things which we picked up from, well, the conditions were not ideal in the past years. There were things, strategies that we were able to like pick up and which are still useful in this post pandemic era. Okay. Yeah, thank you to all our thank you to our audience members for submitting the questions and for actively participating in the open forum. And thank you also to our speaker, Chantel, to Thierry, and to Jerry for answering these questions with eagerness and delivering your talk and sharing your stories. At this point, we would like to award certificates of appreciation to our speakers today. Maybe ask the speakers to turn on their camera for documentation of this awarding. And the citation reads, this certificate of appreciation is presented to for sharing his or her expertise as a resource speaker at the Incubating Sustainable Solutions webinar held this 19th day of April 2023 via Zoom. Signed, Emmanuel Delocado, Country Manager, SDSN Philippines, Stephen Ong, SDSN Hong Kong, and Anthony Malanon, SDSN Thailand. The certificate is presented to Ms. Chantel Nieto. Thank you. Next one, we have to Terry. Thank you, Terry. And of course, to Jerry.
Thank you.
Jerry. At this point, we invite our speakers to keep their camera on, so to join us for a group photo among the moderators and the speakers.
Okay, so for the available speakers and organizers, kindly open your camera so we can take a group picture. Okay, just a few more seconds for the rest. Okay. Okay, I'll take the picture now. 1, 2, 3. Okay, thank you, everyone.
Yes. Oh, of course, the discussion. Thank you to our speakers once again. Of course, Stephen and Anthony would know this that the discussion does not end here. There are upcoming activities that we would like to invite our younger audience members to partake in. At this time, I would like to turn over the floor to Javi and Ted from our secretariat as they share events they wish to invite our university and high school students. Javi, the floor is yours.
Okay, so thank you, Sir Aman. So again, I'm Javi Bakiran from the SDSN Philippines Secretariat, and we'd just like to invite you to our webinar, Food Security, Social Safety Nets, and Social Protection on May 3. This is the second entry in our webinar series on the policy and governance of sustainable food systems. So we hope that you can join us as we hear from members of the academe, government agencies, NGOs, and local government units as we explore how social safety nets and social protection programs can contribute to the achievement of food security. So this is a free webinar and open to the public. And if you have any more questions, you can follow the Ateneo Institute of Sustainability on Facebook for announcements and updates. So that's it from SDSN Philippines. I'll turn it over to the Ateneo Environmental Science Society for their own announcements.
Okay, so hello everyone. First of all, I want to thank SDS and Philippines, Hong Kong, and Thailand for this very wonderful event and to our wonderful speakers. So we would like to promote our event, which is EnviCamp. It is a week-long event that aims to promote. It is a week-long event that aims to promote the environmental aspect of various sectors of the society. This project aims to highlight the intersectionality of the environmental issues by providing a deep and holistic understanding of the environment through tackling the different sectors such as the urban spaces, agriculture, plastic waste, and other key issues in our society. So yes, please stay tuned to further announcements regarding our event, and you may please follow our socials here on Facebook. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ted and Javi, for those announcements. The afternoon was really loaded with information and inspiration from our three speakers. Stephen, perhaps, given all the things that we heard this afternoon, you can synthesize the insights we hope our university and college and high school students gain from the webinar.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first of all, I have to really thank the three speakers for sharing their very wonderful experiences, their case studies, and in particular, that basically goes back to the first question we first asked, right? As in like, well, we want to know about experiences from the three regions, but at the same time, we also want to know is there any commonalities or is there any differences between the three cases? And basically, now I have the answers is, there actually are more common aspects, than the differences. Of course, right? Each speaker, they work on something very different. And then, they work on something very different setting as well altogether. But at the same time, I see a lot of commonality, as in like going back to the questions we talk about incubating a solution. And then in particular, we see a lot, Chantal tell us about, just you have to do it, but at the same time, tell your story, let other people know, such that you can motivate other people, you can mobilize people, you can also let people know that they're not alone. But at the same time, like what Terry also says about, you have to follow your passion, that basically goes again, go along with what Chantal has talked about as well, right? You also have to be realistic about things, and then you do it, and then it's then just stick to it, because well, there's always a tendency that when you face some failure, you tend to drop it, right? But at the same time, what actually makes a sustainable solution work is you have to really work on it, fail, and then keep coming back again, and then keep doing it, and then eventually you'll be able to reach what you originally wanted to do. And also, when it comes to Jerry's sharing, we also know that, he's working on the energy sector, but at the same time, it is also fundamentally, it is about identifying a questions, identifying a problem. And then if you see a problem, you try to tackle it, try to think about a solution. And then if you have a solution, you have an idea, you do it, and then keep coming back to it. So that's why, fundamentally, I feel the three different case studies, they are still fundamentally very similar in the sense that, they have to identify the issues, stick to it, work on it, and then tell other people, and then inspire other people, and particularly empower other people to do what they think is right with regard to sustainable solution. So yes, so as we draw the event to the close, right, so we would like to kindly ask everyone to answer our evaluation form for the event by going to the following link or scanning the QR code on your screen. So please be informed that only those who answer the evaluation form will be issued a certificate of participation. Allow the Development Society of the Ateneo Sundays to send you your e-certificate. So that officially wraps up our event for today. So again, thank you for everyone for joining our webinar, and we hope that you learn much from our presentations and discussions. Emmanuel, do you have anything to add?
Oh, I think that's it. Thank you everyone for joining us. And it was great having our speakers today, and it's a great starting partnership with Hong Kong and Thailand. So thank you everyone. Anthony?
Nothing to add more. Just to thank you everyone who joined us today, and I have learned so much as well from myself, and I really hope that everyone will start it now.
Thank you everyone. Enjoy the rest of the afternoon. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye.